So here's my retrospective on the Justice League movie. And I tried to do this live yesterday, and the video quality came out it was horrible. There's no other way to put it. So I'm re-recording this now, and I'll post this as a normal video on my channel. I have no idea what happened yesterday. I have great speeds, both download and uploads, and I tried to use StreamYard, but the quality was horrendous. Though the audio was out of sync and everything else, and I have no idea why that happened. So I'm re-recording this now for you guys to watch. This will be my last retrospective, by the way. After this, I am going to be going in and doing actual reviews of each of the DCEU movies. I'm going to go back to the beginning, probably starting with Green Lantern. We don't know if Green Lantern is going to be a part of the whole DCEU permanently or not. Nobody knows what's going on with Ryan Reynolds at this stage. Everyone's being kind of quiet on that front. And in fact, with the Green Lantern show that has been announced, they're not having a Hal Jordan or a John Stewart in there, which totally mystifies me. But anyway, here's my retrospective on the Justice League and what really happened. All right, so this movie is the one that really kind of, I don't know, upset me the most out of all of the films. There was a lot published about the production from day one. They had about a $300 million budget simply because of the reshoots and everything that happened that I will be discussing. And it actually made its money back. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here. I've got the numbers pulled up. This movie actually made only $229 million in the U.S. alone, but it ended up grossing worldwide about $657.9 million, which was definitely enough to make a profit. But compared to these other movies, it underperformed compared to Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman, and especially Aquaman. Aquaman made almost $1.2 billion. So this really underperformed for the studio. And there's a reason for that, because there were people like me who went to the movies and were just floored by what we actually saw and what we got. Now, with the production, a lot was revealed during this, and everything seemed to be going okay until they announced, yeah, you know what? Zack Snyder's daughter had committed suicide. I think it was 3 or 4 months prior to him leaving the project. And now he's got to leave the project to go be with his family. Totally understandable. Now, that's not what really happened. Yes, his daughter did commit suicide, but that's not what really happened. And we're going to talk about that. He ended up leaving the project, and they bring in Joss Whedon, the guy who directed Firefly, and he also directed the first 2 Avengers films. He came in to finish the movie off. That's how it was originally talked about. And then we find out there were some reshoots, just a few. But then it's revealed that it was actually a lot more than that. And by the time the movie came out and we found out the whole story, like almost the whole thing was redone. This was definitely not Zack Snyder's movie. And as everybody knows at this stage, Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League is going to be shown on HBO Max next year in 2021. And I'll give out some details about that at the end. So this movie finally gets made, and I saw all the trailers for it. I was really excited to see it. Then they released the runtime, and with credits, it was under 2 hours. Well, with credits, it was a little over 2. But if you take the credits out, the actual movie part was under 2 hours long. And I said, how are they going to introduce each one of the characters and make this a meaningful story? Well, see, there's the trick. That's the problem with this movie. It was the story was completely gutted. The problem wasn't the introduction of each of the characters. It was the overall story. We got a horrible looking CGI Steppenwolf. We got a gutted storyline. Only one mention of Darkseid during the whole movie. And if you're not paying attention, you are going to miss it. And this was a complete departure from what we were promised. Now, I already talked about Suicide Squad. There were things that were going to lead directly from that into this. And we're going to talk about that individual that came in and changed everything. And I got to see this movie early. I think a week early. I walked away from the theater scratching my head. I couldn't believe what I just saw. 40% of the trailer was missing, wasn't even in the movie. There was a non-existent score. Zimmer said he was done with superhero films. They got Junkie XL to do the music. Then when the changes happened, they were fired. They brought in Danny Elfman, and I've never been a huge Danny Elfman fan. In fact, the only Danny Elfman score I really like is for Terminator Salvation, which his score was amazing for that movie. If you've never heard it, go listen to it. It's pretty freaking awesome. That was the worst part of the film for me. There was no theme for the team. None whatsoever. Danny Elfman brought in some themes from some past films and used them sparingly and not even overpowering. It was kind of behind the scenes. And Superman's return should have been this big, huge, amazing thing, and it was a complete dud. You got the whole team gathered together, and there's no theme. Now, that's the one thing that Marvel did well. The music is amazing. To me, most of the Marvel films are just cookie-cutter films, but the music was amazing, and it elicited feelings. We got none of that with this movie. None of it. I was pretty upset. Not to mention the fact that it was completely out of character for a lot of these characters, especially Batman. The scene that makes me cringe in this film is when they're fighting Superman in the park and Batman's on the ground saying, yep, something's bleeding, I'm like, what the heck? That is not Batman. Like, they totally butchered what Zack Snyder had started. I was disgusted. Well, I wouldn't say disgusted. I didn't hate what was there. It's what wasn't there. It's what we were promised and we didn't get. And I could not believe it. It was shortly after this movie was released when they talked about Henry Cavill probably not coming back for Superman. We found out that Ben Affleck was leaving the Batman project because, he just couldn't understand. He couldn't deal with the hate. He went into drinking, had a hard time in his life, and he ended up having to leave the Batman project. Well, he didn't really leave. He was fired as well because of one individual, and we're going to talk about that, like I said, here in a minute. It was shortly after that where I made a phone call and talked to one of the executives down at Warner Brothers. And they told me it was probably a year or two after Justice League got released. And I called and talked to them, and I said I was very disgusted at what they've done. I wanted to see Justice League 2 and 3 like Zack had planned. They totally butchered that. They're not having Cavill back. They're not having Ben Affleck back. And I said, you guys are ruining everything that's been done, and I want to see these movies made. The girl I spoke to stopped me and said, sir, all I'm going to tell you is it takes a long time to make a movie. We've heard you guys. Trust me, we've heard you. And she said, you are going to see a backpedaling coming very soon, which I thought was a complete farce. I didn't think it was happening, but it did happen. And as we know now, it is happening. Like AT&T came in 2 years ago. They bought up Warner Brothers, and they are fixing everything. They are correcting this ship, which is amazing. We are finally going to get Zack Snyder's real cut. Now, before I talk about the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, which is now officially titled Zack Snyder's Justice League, I want to talk about the individual who made these changes. There is one comic writer who is considered a god in DC Comics. For people who aren't aware of this, his name is Geoff Johns. Geoff Johns came in after Batman versus Superman. He's the one that made the changes to Suicide Squad, and they blamed it on other individuals. He's the one that wanted Patty Jenkins to take out the No Man's Land scene in Wonder Woman, and he's the one that butchered Justice League and wanted to make everything more kid-friendly going forward. That's not what fans like me wanted, and we totally got destroyed. I couldn't tell you how disgusted I was. I felt like Warner Brothers has never respected DC properties, and if you guys aren't familiar with it, go watch the little documentary on YouTube about Superman 2. Warner Brothers is good at meddling in these movies, and they did it again here. And I've always felt hollow in regards to Justice League. It just was not what we were promised. It's not what we deserved. And it was a hollow shell of what it should have been. So let's briefly talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. It is getting released in 2021 on HBO Max. So if you don't have HBO Max, you're going to want to get it. And anyway, Wonder Woman 1984 is being released on HBO Max next month on December 25th, day and date with theaters. So if you want to watch it at home, all you have to do is have an HBO Max subscription. They're not going to charge you extra to watch Wonder Woman. My review on that will be going up as soon as that movie gets released. So you're going to want to make sure that you hit that subscription button and notification bell so that you'll be notified as my videos go up. But man alive. In the off time, in the last several years, Zack Snyder's been very quiet about what happened. He actually got fired. Jeff Johns fired him, fired everybody, made all these changes, blamed it on everybody else, and now he's gone. He's kind of in the shadows. He did write the Three Jokers, the Batman Three Jokers Black Label storyline for DC Comics, but he's been quiet ever since, and I don't even know what he's working on now. And he does not have any credits when it comes to the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. His name will not be in there anywhere. And so I'm excited for that. He kind of, Zack Snyder's been definitely lobbying for this movie to be made. The fans were lobbying for it. Now we're going to get a 4-hour plus Justice League movie on HBO Max next year. I cannot wait for that. And I just pray that they release that on 4K and on Blu-ray. I want that to the collection. I want to add it to my collection. I want to be able to burn the other Justice League movie. It was a travesty. Should have never been made. I can't believe the studios actually went the route that they did, not understanding how important music is. Like, they sabotaged this movie. I can't tell you how angry I am just thinking about this whole situation and what they did to the fans. This reminds me a lot of what happened with The Last Jedi with Star Wars. I have a video up on that. You can hear my raw remarks, shortly after seeing that movie, and I still stand by everything that I said in that review. And I feel the same about Justice League. I don't hate what's there. It's just that we did not get what we were promised. So that's my last retrospective on what really happened behind the scenes. We can thank Jeff Johns for screwing everything up in all of these films. He is not going to have credits going forward. They pretty much kicked him off the team, and we'll see if it even destroys his career, because there's a lot, for people who don't know, there's a lot going on with him and with Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg. There's some court proceedings coming up. So if you're not familiar with those, you're going to want to look online and see what what's going on between them. But there's just a lot going on behind the scenes, and things have been messed up. But AT&T is definitely trying to correct the ship and get it going forward again in full steam ahead and make the fans happy. And so I'm happy about that. As a DC fan, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the future. So we'll see when the Zack Snyder Justice League gets released next year. I'll be doing a review on that as well. I'll be doing reviews on everything Justice League or DC related coming up, the movies and the TV shows. So stick around. I'm probably going to start a live. I'm going to figure out this whole live thing and figure out why my stream did look so terrible yesterday, but I'm going to get it fixed. I'm going to find out how to get this working properly so that once a week on Sundays that I can do a live session, and I'll let you guys know about that. So hit that subscription button. Please like the video, hit the notification bell. You will be notified when new videos go up. Like I said, what I'm going to be starting next are the reviews on all of the DCEU films, starting with Green Lantern.